Hey everyone, it's Fiona Aedgar here. I thought that I would make a short video about the upcoming summer solstice. This event is happening on June 21st, as you can see, at exactly 4:43 a.m. That is UK time. So if you're in another location, you would need to work out the time difference. The summer solstice is very special and it should be a day of ritual for all of us, okay? So the pagan wheel of the year, as I'm sure you've heard me speaking about before, is actually an important part of every human being's spiritual well-being. And obviously through living through the age of Christianity and Abrahamism, these important events have been corrupted or discouraged. The only people that really celebrate it now are pagans. When you perform a ritual on the summer solstice or any equinox or solstice, you are channeling the energy of that event into your own life, into your own physical body. And its effects can be very powerful. So I encourage you all to do that. I follow the Norse gods. So I had to check in the chart. Of course, there is an asteroid called Boulder, as you can see here. On the day of the summer solstice, Boulder is going to be at 11 degrees of Leo, which of course is ruled by the sun, which is going to be at 0 degrees of Cancer, marking the beginning of the summer solstice. So during this event, the daylight hours will decrease after this. So we can see this in the mythology, the Nordic mythology, by the story of the death of Boulder. And that event brings in Ragnarok, okay? So obviously the solstices happen every year. However, there has been some interference with the sun, I feel, for many years now. The sun has even changed colour. Over here in Ireland, I mean, it's always been a humid place with a lot of rain, but the summers have been very cold. And there's kind of like a cloud that obscures the sun, thick cloud. Funnily enough, it only starts to happen at around 10 a.m. after certain international flights have come in. Before that, it's really sunny. And we also have heard about the attempts by the psychopath Bill Gates to block out the sun. We have also been taught that we should fear the sun, slather ourselves in toxic sun creams every summer. And of course, most people are really deficient in vitamin D, especially migrants that have come from, places in Africa or the Middle East, and suddenly they're living in a cloudy, rainy place in Europe. So we need the sun. And these attempts to kind of make us fear that are deeply disturbing. Are we in Ragnarok? Yes, I think so. So it makes it even more important that you perform a ritual to kind of honor this day. You can work with Boulder. If you're from somewhere else, then you can work with whatever god would have been the equivalent of Boulder. Okay? So this chart is really special. This is the chart of the summer solstice. There's a grand trine in water signs. So a grand trine is like a gateway. And it happens when you have like 3 or more planets that are in the same element. So we've got the sun in Cancer, the moon in Scorpio, and Jupiter in Pisces, which really is a beautiful energy. And it's encouraging because it's about an emotional doorway. It's a window of opportunity that will bring healing on a very profound emotional and spiritual level, right? So we've got the moon in Scorpio, which is dark, intense, but it's really good for getting rid of deep psychological issues that you may have, spiritual issues, issues that are connected to your ancestry, your family line. When you perform the rituals on these holidays, you work through these type of generational family curses. Eventually they kind of drop away. So this is why it's important, and I really encourage you all to do this. This is a beautiful window of opportunity, okay? What do you do? Well, I'm going to speak a little bit about the story of Boulder, and I'm going to quote it directly from a really good book. It's called Asatru, A Native European Spirituality, and it's by a man called Stephen A. McNallen. And you can listen to me read this, and then I'll talk a little bit about what you can do in a practical sense on the summer solstice to honour Boulder, if you choose. Boulder, son of Odin and Frigga, plays a part in the central theme in northern lore. It is his death that ushers in the battle at the end of this cycle of time, Ragnarok. Boulder is described in glowing terms. Boulder the beautiful, the one with the white brow, the mild god who is loved by all. It was startling then that he should have dreadful dreams. Frigga sought to protect her son, and took oaths from all things in the world to not harm him. This, of course, makes him invulnerable, and the rest of the gods took sport in standing in a circle around Boulder and pelting him with stones, axes, spears, and any other harmful things that came to hand. Each missile bounced harmlessly off Boulder, leaving him intact and smiling. It turns out that Frigga had obtained promises from all things, with the exception of the mistletoe, which she thought too young to make an oath. Loki learned of this, and shaping a dart of mistletoe, contrived to have Hod, the blind god, join in the mirth by throwing it at Boulder. Boulder dropped dead when it struck him. He was given a magnificent funeral, and efforts to get him out of hell began at once. These efforts ultimately failed, and Boulder remains there until after Ragnarok. Victorian-era writers made Boulder something of a pretty boy among the gods, painting him as somehow different from the rest of the rough-and-tumble Germanic deities. Others have even made him into a sort of Nordic Christ. These interpretations fail. For one thing, the name Boulder means warrior. This is substantiated by a version of the myth in the writings of Saxo Grammaticus that portray Boulder as a mortal warrior who fights great battles to win the hand of the beautiful woman. Finally, the picture of the gods standing around Boulder and throwing weapons at him has been identified as a warrior initiation by some scholars. Could it be that Boulder is not a soft-speaking bringer of peace at all, but just another Germanic god associated with war? Tyr is the archetypal warrior, and Odin uses war as an evolutionary strategy for producing heroes. Where does Boulder fit into the scene? Boulder teaches us, and warriors everywhere, the lesson of luck. He is of noble lineage and possesses many traits that make him beloved by everyone. His mother, queen of the goddesses, tried to protect him as soon as she discovered a threat to his life. All these things come together to give Boulder a high degree of luck, of hamingia. Yet there is a fatal flaw in the protection woven around him, in the form of Frigga's failure to get an oath from the mistletoe. Boulder is good, and his luck is good, but they're not good enough to thwart the threat against him. The outcome is tragedy. Boulder, the young warrior, is struck down by blind chance in the form of a sightless god named Hod. Soldiers today have a saying, it doesn't matter how good you are if you're not lucky. The story of Boulder is most obviously relevant to soldiers, law enforcement officers, firefighters, and others who risk death for the sake of others. But the general principle of luck, as a tangible quality, as something dependent on your haminya, or overall spiritual might, and therefore something you can shape, is true for all men and women. So we can shape our luck or our haminya by being an honourable person, by following the pagan wheel of the year. So I think that many of us feel like we are in a bit of a spiritual war at the moment. So this story is very relevant. We're being attacked. The sun is being attacked. It's hard to know what to do. If you feel the Wotanic consciousness rising within yourself, and it is a consciousness of fury, of battle, we are in that, but we can't go out into the streets. It's a bad idea to do that. We cannot declare any kind of physical war against the people that are trying to oppress us. What can we do? We can do the rituals. Ritual is so powerful. The more of us that do that, the more equipped that we will be to fight in this battle. It's a battle of consciousness. So on a more personal level, this starts the Cancer season, which is connected to motherhood, the maternal. Remember, we see that Frigg, the mother goddess, is very prominent within the story of Boulder. It's a time when we will feel more like spending time with our families and with children, nurturing, caring for each other, which is something that we should all try to do. So there's a lot of power within this. So I will be I may not get up at exactly 4:43 a.m. to perform the ritual, but I will be doing it on some time that day. What can you do? Well, it's best to have a picture or a statue of Boulder. But if you don't have that, then you can use something that symbolizes the sun. Or you can simply stand underneath the sun in the sky. And at this time is when dawn is in Ireland. I'm not sure what it'll be like where you are. You offer some mead, some wine if you don't have that, some incense. And you just make a toast to Boulder and to your family, to your loved ones, and to your people in general. Very powerful ritual. So that's it for this video, short and sweet. I just thought that I would talk about this so that you all can understand the importance of this. It's important every year, but it's not every year that we have this beautiful grand trine and water signs. So make the most of that. If you would like to book a private reading, you can check my website, FionaAedgar.com. I'm also a teacher of astrology. I take on students. A few of my students have already gone on to become professional astrologers. Okay, I'll be back again soon with another video. Bye for now.